Hello guys, welcome back to our anime moment. Guys, please like the video and subscribe to my channel. Today is explanation of Martial Universe Season 8 Part 12 based on novel. So let's start. Sunlight shone down from the sky and turned into rays that lit up the lady's alluring and slender body on the platform. She looked extremely dazzling. A head full of dark black hair was tied up into a simple ponytail, which hung softly on her body till her waist. Her ponytail was slightly curled, giving her the feeling of youth and liveliness that was quietly blossoming. This would definitely brighten up the mental state of the surrounding individuals who saw her. Anyone who laid their eyes on this lovely and pure young lady would feel quite joyful. Lin Dong, however, was the only exception. When he saw Ying Huan's beautiful face, he involuntarily rubbed his nose. It turns out that his traveling buddy this time around was actually her. Only now did he finally realize why Wu Dao's smile looked so strange. It seems like that old fellow had known about it all along. Lin Dong's eyes lingered on Ying Huan for a while, before he turned away. Glancing at her side, there were two young men standing arrogantly. The two of them were tall and thin and they looked fairly dashing. One of them was dressed in white, while the other was dressed in black. From a single glance, one could tell that they gave off an imposing aura. When they occasionally glanced at Lin Dong, one could easily identify a tinge of arrogance in their looks. Naturally, Lin Dong did not care about this. His desolate hall has been ranked last for the past few years. Therefore, when disciples from the other three halls looked at them, they naturally felt a sense of superiority. Based on the yuan power fluctuations emitted from their bodies, which did not lose out to Jiang Hao, Lin Dong was able to deduce that they must hold a pretty respectable status in their respective halls. In fact, they may even be senior direct disciples as well. Hence, it was reasonable for them to be slightly arrogant. An old man with a head full of white hair beamed and looked towards Wu Dao and Lin Dong, who were descending on the platform. He smiled and said, "Ha ha, the members from Desolate Hall have arrived." Wu Dao smiled and nodded his head. He bowed at the old man before introducing him to Lin Dong. "This is Elder Bai Hua. So this little brat is Lin Dong from your Desolate Hall, who has recently become quite a sensation. Entering the hall for less than a month and becoming a senior direct disciple. It seems like he might have broken some records," said the old man with a smile, while he stared at Lin Dong. After the old man spoke, behind him, Ying Huan could not help but shoot a glance at Lin Dong. She naturally knew about this incident as well. Furthermore, when she first heard about it, not only her but even her elder sister Ying Xiaoxiao was slightly startled. Evidently, both of them had never expected that Lin Dong could actually become a senior direct disciple in Desolate Hall within such a short period of time. "Elder, you've overpraised me. It was all thanks to the generosity of my senior brothers, who let me pass their tests," replied Lin Dong with a faint smile. When he heard Lin Dong's modest reply, the white-haired old man was quite pleased. Stroking his beard, he nodded his head, faced Wu Dao and said, "Not arrogant and not hot-tempered. He is a good seed. Looks like this time your Desolate Hall got lucky." "That is," said Wu Dao, while laughing without a shred of politeness. The behavior Lin Dong displayed during this period had consistently exceeded his expectations. At this rate, if Lin Dong was given time, his future achievements would definitely be quite spectacular. The white-haired old man laughed before turning his attention towards Lin Dong and the other three and said, Huan will be the leader for the mission. As for the specific details, she will update and brief all of you once you guys are on your way." When he heard the old man's words, it caused Lin Dong to gawk for a moment. He could not resist but look doubtfully at the young lady in front of him, who was wearing a white blouse and a green skirt. She looked exactly like a naive and innocent young girl. Why did the elder choose her to be the leader? A crack appeared at the corner of Lin Dong's mouth. He was a person who had come out of a place like the ancient battlefield. However, he had never expected that they would actually choose a silly little lass to be their leader. Moreover, what really stunned Lin Dong was the reactions of the two males after the white-haired old man spoke. The two of them from Earth and Flood Hall did not have a shred of objection, as if they were completely agreeable with this arrangement. "Could it be this little lass is not as simple as she seems?" murmured Lin Dong secretly. "Yes? "Do you have a problem with Elder Baihua's arrangement?" Just as Lin Dong murmured in his heart, a clear and sweet-sounding voice rang beside his ear. Raising his head, the first thing he saw was Ying Huan revealing a smile so sweet it could make bones turn soft. However, within her big beautiful eyes, Lin Dong could identify a cunning fox-like nature. Immediately, he suavely waved his hand and said, "I will do whatever Elder has instructed." Lin Dong's swift response caused Ying Huan's crescent-shaped eyebrows to jump slightly. However, she could only swallow the words that were about to leave her mouth. Curling the corner of her mouth, she said, "I've led groups out of the sect for over 10 times. Thus, I have much more experience than you newbies. In this world, being older does not automatically give you the right to be arrogant." The moment those words came out of her mouth, it caused Wu Dao and Elder Baihua to gawk. Promptly, they could only shake their heads helplessly. Even innocent bystanders like them were roped into this conflict. Seems like this lass's mouth is still so sharp. Lin Dong's expression did not change. Although the contrast between Ying Huan's age and her experience left him surprised, that was all to it. Perhaps Lin Dong cannot match up to her in terms of knowledge and experience, however, having slaughtered his way out of the cruel ancient battlefield, Lin Dong possessed the cautiousness and ruthlessness that these super sect disciples did not have. However, when Ying Huan saw Lin Dong's calm expression, she immediately clenched her teeth. "This fellow is simply too disrespectful. Let's go." Ying Huan casually shot a glance at Lin Dong. Following which, without hesitation, she extended her semi-transparent jade-like finger. It looked like a perfect piece of artwork and caused one to be unable to tear their gaze away. Ying Huan's slender jade-like finger waved around casually in the space before her. A clear sound unexpectedly rang out, before it dissipated in the sky. Not long after the dissipation of that sound, a clear cry rang out from a huge verdant mountain not far away. The sound came from a large green condor that flew over to the platform while carrying along crazy gusts. "Let go, we will leave and return quickly." As her alluring body flashed, Ying Huan mounted the green condor. Upon seeing this, the disciples from Earth and Flood Hall quickly followed behind her. Lin Dong hesitated for a moment before saluting to Wu Dao and Baihua and leaving. After the three of them boarded the green condor, Ying Huan gave it a light pat. It began to flap its gigantic wings, creating crazy gusts before it took off with a lightning speed. On the platform, Wu Dao looked at the green condor in the horizon, before turning his head around and asked, "Are they headed towards the Blood Cliff grounds this time?" "Yes. That place is very chaotic with a mix of good people and scumbags." "Is it all right to let 4 youngsters go?" asked Wu Dao while frowning. "Relax, nothing will happen to them. Our Dao sect has a yuan mine at that area. According to the reports, there is some strange activity occurring there. I believe that it should be some demonic beasts wreaking havoc. The 4 of them are all top individuals from their respective halls. Therefore, I believe that they should be able to settle this issue," replied Baihua with a smile. After hearing his reply, Wu Dao did not speak further. However, within his heart, uncertainty unknowingly started to bubble up. Above the horizon, the green condor's flapping wings create crazy gusts as it flew through the sky. The speed they were traveling at was as quick as lightning. Lin Dong sat cross-legged on the back of the green condor. This condor was obviously not a normal creature. It was emitting energy from its body, which completely blocked the crazy gusts that it generated. Therefore, they were able to sit peacefully on its back. Ying Huan was seated at the front of the green condor. The 2 disciples from Earth and Flood Hall were quite familiar with her and sat slightly behind her. From their conversation, Lin Dong could sense that the 2 of them fancied her. This was no surprise to Lin Dong, as Ying Huan is not only exceptionally talented, but she was adorable, cute, and lovely as well. Furthermore, she gave off a pure and innocent vitality that could infect anyone. In fact, even Lin Dong found it hard to resist. As such, it was not surprising that the 2 of them would fancy her. Lin Dong gradually withdrew his gaze from Ying Huan and the 2 of them. Looking towards the sea of trees that were rapid retreating, he could not help but think of Little Martin and Little Flame. "I wonder how they are right now." Lin Dong pursed his lips. Little Martin and Little Flame had been gone for over a month. However, Lin Dong had yet to receive any updates from the both of them. Although he knew that they would not face any major issues due to Little Martin's abilities, it was inevitable that he still felt a little worried in his heart. After being accustomed and relying on their presence during numerous struggles and fights, Lin Dong was somewhat unable to adapt with their sudden separation. Hey! Just as Lin Dong was slightly absent-minded, a melodious voice rang out from the front. He raised his head while staring blankly in front for a while before the surrounding scenery retreated rapidly around him. The young lady in a white blouse and a green skirt tilted her head and stared at him. Her pitch-black ponytail brushed across the nape of her neck. Coupled with her bright and beautiful big eyes, which were akin to a lac, she looked exceptionally beautiful. What? After being slightly absent-minded due to such a soul-stirring scene, Lin Dong regained his consciousness and asked, "You are quite antisocial. Everyone here is your senior. Your actions would cause others to assume that you are proud and aloof." "Our Dao sect disciples do not behave in this manner during missions," replied Ying Huan. The tone of her voice coupled with her young ladylike appearance was quite comical. Lin Dong felt quite helpless. "Isn't it clear you guys were deliberately ignoring me? Why am I being criticized for being proud and aloof now? We can be considered as comrades for this mission. Since you are a newbie, we will take good care of you. Don't be nervous and just treat it as a training exercise. Since you left with all 4 limbs attached to your body, I will make sure that you will return without any pieces of meat missing," replied Ying Huan with a grin. Lin Dong rubbed his nose and could not resist but laugh. He had a slightly favorable impression of the young lady in front of him. Although she was somewhat weird and bizarre, she was definitely not a bad person. "Ha ha, junior brother Lin Dong, please relax. We will handle anything that happens. Just use this trip to gain some experience," said the 2 males from Earth and Flood Hall, standing beside Ying Huan while laughing merrily. However, there was a sensation of pride within their laughter. Lin Dong gave a faint smile without showing his approval or disapproval. "I've heard that you have successfully learned the Desolate Demon Eye of the Desolate Hall," asked Ying Huan suddenly as she stared at Lin Dong. After she asked this question, the pupils of the 2 males expanded for a while. Evidently, they had heard of the Desolate Demon Eye. "I got lucky and was barely able to master it," Lin Dong hesitated for a moment before he nodded his head and replied. Ying Huan gave a slight nod, before a slight tinge fleeted across her beautiful pupils. She could clearly remember the shocked expression on her elder sister's face when she heard the news. Ying Huan did a lazy stretch, exposing her soft waist which showcased her alluring curve. After casually shooting a glance at Lin Dong, she said, "I really couldn't tell that you are quite talented. I will now withdraw my initial appraisal that you are arrogant," said Ying Huan. After hearing her words, Lin Dong instantly did not know whether to cry or to laugh. Although Ying Huan had taken back her words of him being arrogant, that still meant that her appraisal of him being extremely boastful was still stuck to him. "As for the other one, we will talk about it after you have comprehended the Great Desolation scripture." As if she knew what Lin Dong was thinking of, Ying Huan's soft and gentle voice was transmitted over once again. Looking at the charming cheeks of the young lady, Lin Dong gave a smile and replied, "If my memory serves me right, I recalled you saying that if I understood the Great Desolation scripture, you will fulfill one of my requests, right?" Ying Huan gawked for a moment before a crimson shade appeared on her cheeks. She proceeded to bite her lip and maliciously shot a look at Lin Dong before twisting her body away. "I am only afraid that you don't have the ability to fulfill this criterion." Staring at the form of the young lady, who was slightly outraged, Lin Dong gave a faint smile. "It seems like this mission would not be so boring as he had thought. The place where we will be going is called the Blood Rock Grounds. It is going to be approximately a 5 days trip from Dao sect. Since that area is located at the intersection between the borders of a few super sects, it has turned into a fairly chaotic region. Even some of the most fearsome wanted individuals frequent that place." The green condor flew across the azure blue sky. Ying Huan, who was on it, was currently briefing Lin Dong and the rest about the mission. "The sect's wanted list. Lin Dong was slightly startled. He had also gained some knowledge about the Eastern Xian region during this period of time in Desolate Hall. The sect's wanted list was issued together by some super sects. Those who appeared on this list were all powerful experts with shocking abilities. Back then, Senior Ju Tong was also on this list. Moreover, he was placed at the top of the list. Of course, this was issued by the Yuan Gate and it was eventually removed due to objection from our Dao sect. Lin Dong was stunned. Promptly, he didn't know whether to laugh or cry. This Senior Ju Tong really caused trouble wherever he went. After arriving at Dao sect, many of the things that Lin Dong heard about this person were related to his numerous great achievements. However, from this, Lin Dong was able to deduce the quality of this so-called sect's wanted list. If one was not truly skilled, it would be really difficult to end up alive after offending some super sects. Therefore, it is best to avoid causing any problems when we reach the Blood Rock grounds. Although we are disciples of Dao sect, the prestige of a super sect is diminished in a chaotic place like the Blood Rock grounds. Ying Huan looked at Lin Dong with her large eyes and warned. Lin Dong curled his lips helplessly. Being lectured by this girl, who was around the same age as him, really felt a little strange. Our Dao sect has a Nirvana crystal mine there. This time around, there are some disturbances there that have interfered with the mining process. Our mission is to observe the area. It is likely some demonic beasts causing the problem. This mission is not difficult and if things go smoothly, we will be able to return in half a month's time. Ying Huan said. Lin Dong nodded slightly. He knew a little about Nirvana crystal mines and they were similar to Nirvana pills. Within those crystals were pure natural Yuan power mixed with Nirvana Qi. Furthermore, these crystal mines were an extremely important resource to the various super sects. That was because the pill rivers within the sect would have to be replenished with a large amount of Nirvana crystals every year. Otherwise, the pill river would wound up being gradually exhausted. With Senior Sister Huan in charge, it is likely that there will not be much problems during this mission. We'll just treat it as coming out to take a tour. Although the Blood Rock grounds is chaotic, the auction house there is quite developed and we can see various interesting items. At that time, we might even be able to go and take a look. The white-clothed man beside Ying Huan also opened his mouth and laughed. After chatting along the way, Lin Dong also gained some understanding of the two other men. The white-clothed man was called Jiang Kun. He was a senior direct disciple in Earth Hall and he was also at 7 Yuan Nirvana stage. The black-clothed man was called Yuan Ling and he was also a senior direct disciple of the Flood Hall and was as powerful as Jiang Kun. Judging from the surface alone, amongst the four of them, the strongest one should be Ying Huan. The Yuan power fluctuation around her body was stronger than the Jiang Kun duo. It was likely that she had reached the peak of 7 Yuan Nirvana stage. Moreover, for some unknown reason, Lin Dong was unable to sense any extraordinary fluctuation around her. One could tell that the young lady in front of him was definitely not as simple as she appeared on the surface. Lin Dong smiled and his heart also relaxed a little. In any case, he had yet to come out after having reached the Eastern Xian region. This time around, he could take it as a chance to explore the outside world. The Blood Rock grounds was quite a great distance from the Dao sect. Even though the green condor flew at a rapid rate, the journey still took around 5 days. Lin Dong, who was seated on the green condor, suddenly sensed something when the morning of the 6th day arrived. He raised his head and looked into the distance. He could see that the originally lush green forest a great distance in front had suddenly come to a halt. A somewhat bright red color spread apart from the area that he could see. That color was just like the earth was being invaded by fresh blood. A faint yet fearsome evil scent arose from the land. When approaching this region, Lin Dong could sense that the aura around the place had become much messier. These auras mostly contained a degree of ferocity. Some were hidden in the darkness, while others were ferociously sweeping their dark and cold eyes over the green condor that was flying across the sky. This is an unfriendly place. Lin Dong knitted his brow slightly when this thought appeared within his heart. It seemed like it was just as Ying Huan had said, this was quite a chaotic area. We have arrived at the Blood Rock grounds. At the head of the condor, Ying Huan stretched her lazy waist. She immediately spoke with a smile, "Let's head to the mine first. There are disciples of our Dao sect situated there." The Jian Kuan duo would naturally not oppose her instructions. Moreover, Lin Dong was unfamiliar with the area since it was his first time here. Therefore, most of the decisions were made by Ying Huan. Seated on the green condor, Ying Huan waved her hand gently before the green condor immediately flapped its large wings, changed its direction and upped its speed. This leg of the trip merely lasted for half an hour. After which, Lin Dong saw a bright red mountain appearing in his sight. In fact, it was even possible to see some buildings and well-spaced human figures within that mountain range. Ying Huan appeared to be quite familiar with this place. Her eyes merely drifted downwards before she directed the green condor to reduce its speed and finally encircled above a mountaintop before slowly descending. Their landing spot was coincidentally a stone square. Soon after the green condor landed, some rushing wind sound were emitted from a short distance away. After which, over a dozen figures rushed over. From the badge in front of their chest, they were all clearly disciples of the Dao sect. The originally cautious expression on their faces quickly disappeared upon seeing Ying Huan. Taking its place was a respectful expression instead. Huan. In front of them was a lady, who had a somewhat small and delicate figure. Although she was not as beautiful as Ying Huan, she possessed a gentle demeanor. Her face contained some joy when she saw Ying Huan. Her mannerism clearly indicated that she was somewhat familiar with the latter. Elder Sister Fang. Ying Huan also grinned and stepped forward when she saw that lady. Elder Sister Fang, with regards to the disciples who are following me for this mission, all of you should be familiar with Jian Kuan and Yuan Ling. The last guy is a new disciple from Desolate Hall, Lin Dong. Ying Huan chatted a little with the one called Elder Sister Fang, before pointing her delicate finger towards Lin Dong. A new disciple from Desolate Hall? That Elder Sister Fang was clearly startled upon hearing this. Her eyes looked over Lin Dong and spoke uncertainly, 5 Yuan Nirvana stage. The Blood Rock Grounds is quite a chaotic place. As such, the Dao sect would typically dispatch powerful disciples to this area, and it was very rare to see someone like Lin Dong. Of course, she was not the only one who felt this way. Even the other Dao sect's disciples following her were staring at Lin Dong with surprise in their eyes. Clearly, they did not understand why such a weak new disciple would be dispatched here this time around. You should not underestimate this fellow. He has only joined the Desolate Hall for less than a month, but he has already become a senior direct disciple of Desolate Hall. Even Jian Hao is unable to do anything to him. Ying Huan was also clearly aware of the thoughts in the hearts of Elder Sister Fang. She immediately spoke softly behind the latter's ear. The expression of this lady changed a little. Being promoted to senior direct disciple within less than a month. This speed was truly a little frightening. It seems like Lin Dong should be quite capable. This is Senior Yuan Fang, and she is also a senior direct disciple of Sky Hall. These mines are all managed by her. Ying Huan smiled at Lin Dong and introduced. Greetings to Senior Yuan Fang. Lin Dong cupped his hands together towards that lady. Although he did not need to address her as a senior given his status as a senior direct disciple of the Desolate Hall, Lin Dong clearly did not feel that this would cause him to lose face. Junior brother Lin Dong is too courteous. Lin Dong's manner of address also caused that lady's expression to soften. Clearly, Lin Dong's respectful greeting caused her to experience some favorable feelings towards him. Elder Sister Fang, bring us to take a look at the problem that has appeared this time around. If it is those irritating demonic beasts again, don't blame this little grandaunt for being ruthless. Ying Huan grabbed violently with her hand. Her action, along with her lovely appearance, caused everyone to laugh involuntarily. Yuan Fang also laughed. She dotingly patted Ying Huan's little head. Immediately, her eyes became a little grave as she said, the problem this time around is a little strange. I shall bring all of you to go and take a look first. Yuan Fang directly turned around and rushed out as she spoke. Ying Huan, Lin Dong, and the rest also followed her immediately. After Lin Dong's group disappeared, a pair of eyes containing a dark chilling glint, gradually disappeared within the darkness at the top of a distant mountain. Our mineral vein is the largest one within the Blood Rock grounds, and there are about 100 disciples stationed here. Of course, such a number isn't large for a place like the Blood Rock grounds. Fortunately, given our Dao sect's reputation, there are seldom any individuals or factions that would dare to target us. Over a dozen figures flew over the bright red mineral veins. At their front, Yuan Fang introduced these mines, which were owned by their Dao sect, to Lin Dong's group along the way. Lin Dong's eyes continuously scanned his surroundings while he was in the air. The security of this place could be considered quite tight. Occasionally, individuals would flash past in the air as they vigilantly surveyed the activity around the veins. The size of this Nirvana crystal mine far exceeded Lin Dong's expectations. Back then, he had once discovered a Yang Yuan stone mine at Qingyang town. However, that place could hardly hold a candle when compared with this place. Under Yuan Fang's lead, the entire group gradually entered the deeper parts of the mine. Compared to the outside, the color here was growing increasingly crimson red. The entire land appeared to be about to ignite, giving it an extremely mysterious appearance. Yuan Fang's body rushed out before suddenly landing on a protruding rock peak. She looked towards the front, while Ying Huan, Lin Dong, and the rest also swiftly descended and gazed into the distance. In front of the stone peak was a bright red forest. Large trees towered within the forest, and as wind blew on the fiery red leaves, they immediately rustled and danced, appearing just like a sea of fire. Lin Dong's eyes swept over that bright red forest, and his eyes quickly focused slightly. With his mental energy, he could sense dozens of auras within the forest. These auras were filled with violence and ferociousness. Moreover, all of them were extremely powerful. It was likely that they would not lose to a 5-yuan Nirvana stage expert. Demonic beasts. Lin Dong glanced at Fang Yuan and asked. Fire crystal demon ape, a demonic beast found in the Blood Rock grounds. They are extremely troublesome to deal with and always appear in groups. Moreover, each and every one of them is extremely powerful. There are at least 40 of them inside. If we engaged them in battle, even if we manage to chase them away in the end, it is likely that the disciples here will suffer serious injuries and even die. Yuan Fang spoke in a solemn voice. So many fire crystal demon apes. Beside her, Jiang Kuan and Yuan Ling were startled. Although they were experts who had advanced to the 7-yuan Nirvana stage, such a number would be rather troublesome to deal with. Elder Sister Fang, no fire crystal demon apes have appeared around this place in the past, no? Why have so many of them suddenly appeared now? Ying Huan frowned slightly and asked. I am too sure either. Moreover, these fire crystal demon apes will occasionally appear and disturb our mining operations. This has left us with no choice but to relay this information back to the main sect. Yuan Fang shook her head and said. There should be something that they are interested in within this forest. Lin Dong suddenly spoke. He watched as eyes turned towards him as he continued, demonic beasts are extremely sensitive towards natural energy, hence, they usually do not gather without reason. They definitely have some motive for gathering together. We have explored this forest in the past, but we did not discover any natural treasures. Yuan Fang knitted her brows and said. Just because it was not there before does not mean that it doesn't exist now. Lin Dong spread out his hands and said, we will probably have to enter the forest in order to find out why they have gathered. Lin Dong's eyes overlooked the fiery red forest as he spoke. For some unknown reason, he could sense that the natural energy at that place appeared to possess an extremely faint yet chaotic aura. Enter? Those fire crystal demon apes are not easy to deal with. Yuan Fang said. Jiang Kuan and the rest also nodded. It would not be easy to charge past such a large number of fire crystal demon apes. Moreover, no one knew exactly what was inside the forest. Lin Dong frowned a little. It was possible to forcefully charge in. However, it was likely that only the 4 of them possessed the qualifications to do so amongst this group. Leave it to me. Why should we clash head-on with those foolish fellows? Ying Huan gently moved her feet and laughed softly while Lin Dong was in deep thought. Lin Dong was slightly startled as he stared at her large black eyes. However, he did not say anything else. He would not underestimate her because of her age. Since she was able to become a senior direct disciple of the Sky Hall, it was likely that not even a fool would be convinced if one said that Ying Huanhuan did not possess some ability. Ying Huanhuan's graceful body gently flew forward. She appeared in the sky above the forest and waved her hand as a Yuan power pillar directly shot into the forest. Roar! Yuan power exploded within the forest. Immediately numerous furious roars violently rang out. Rushing wind sounds were heard as dozens of giant fiery red apes appeared on the large trees. Fearsome auras emerged from their bodies as their bright red eyes ferociously stared at Ying Huanhuan. Lin Dong was now able to clearly see what these fire crystal demon apes looked like. They were around a couple of dozen feet in size, and their fiery red bodies looked as if they were covered by a layer of crystal. Wild and violent energies continuously spread from within their bodies. Ying Huanhuan's body hovered in the air. She looked down at the fire crystal demon apes, only to release a lovely laughter. She extended her long hands and gently drew it across the empty space in front of her. Faint green energy gathered after her hand drew past in the air. At a glance, it looked like a couple of green strings. Ying Huanhuan's hand gently teased the zither on her hand. Immediately, a melodious zither music began to spread under her fingers. Lin Dong's eyes focused on the zither sound that was being transmitted from Ying Huanhuan's fingers. When the zither sound entered his ears, his mind became a little blurry and his heart immediately tensed up. Promptly, he activated his Yuan power and covered both his ears, blocking off the zither sound. Sound wave attack. A surprised expression flashed across Lin Dong's eyes. He had clearly not expected that Ying Huanhuan would actually be able to use the zither sound as an offensive weapon. This sound wave attack would truly catch some individuals off guard. Bang bang. While Lin Dong was in awe, the fire crystal demon apes above the forest actually shut their ferocious eyes at this moment. After which, all of them fell down one after another, smashing into the ground and making it shake. From the looks of it, all of them had been put to sleep by Ying Huanhuan. Done, it's over. Ying Huanhuan curled her lips slightly when she saw this. Only then did she dismiss the zither strings in front of her. She turned around and looked at stunned Lin Dong as pride immediately swelled in her heart. This is nothing, it's your fault for always acting so unfazed in front of me. Powerful. Lin Dong could not help but nod as he secretly upped his assessment of Ying Huanhuan. This was the first time he had seen someone able to combine Yuan power and zither sound. It was likely that even he would find Ying Huanhuan's attack extremely troublesome to deal with. Let's go, we'll enter the forest to take a look and see what has attracted those fellows. Ying Huanhuan waved her hand in a big sister-like style. After which, she took the lead and directly rushed into the fiery red forest, while Lin Dong's group quickly followed. The entire group directly charged into the forest. Due to the absence of the fire crystal demon apes, they were able to smoothly enter the forest region. Clatter. Lin Dong's figure landed on a tree branch as he frowned once again. Ever since he entered this forest, he had begun to feel disorder in the natural Yuan power. The source of the chaos appeared to be somewhere to their front. Lin Dong raised his head as he heard Ying Huanhuan exclaim in shock. His heart immediately leaped and his body rushed forward. Within a couple of flashes, he appeared beside her. At this moment, Ying Huanhuan's eyes were wide, her pretty face covered with a rich shock as she looked forward. The area before them was a bright red land. However, the land had already been torn apart. A black tree broke through the ground. Branches covered the black tree as it flickered and emitted an icy cold steel-like luster. It was possible to spot some seemingly naturally formed ancient symbols on that tree, while an extraordinary ripple was being quietly scattered. Moreover, the thing that truly drew one's attention were the 5 bright red burning flame-like fruits hanging on the tree. These fruits were shaky, appearing as though they were about to fall. This is... Lin Dong's pupils shrunk a little. Although he did not recognize it, he could tell that it must be an extraordinary object based on the aura it gave off. Immortan Yuan ancient tree. Ying Huanhuan gently covered her mouth with her hand. Rich shock filled her face. This thing, why would it appear here? The Jian Kuan duo were also flabbergasted as they muttered. The forest was completely silent. Everyone was drawn in by the black tree that seemed to have broken out from the ground. Ying Huan stared at the black tree with incomparable joy. Soon after, she could not resist and tried to head over. However, just as she had taken a step forward, the expression on Lin Dong's face suddenly changed drastically. He grabbed her smooth wrist and pulled her back. Bang! The land where Lin Dong and Ying Huan stood suddenly blasted apart just as the former grabbed the latter and pulled her back. A large fiery red hand had burst out from the ground. After which, a titanic fiery red figure rushed out from the ground and landed beside the black tree. Lin Dong brought Ying Huan as they landed on a large tree. His eyes looked towards flying dirt where a titanic dark red ape stood in a fearsome manner. A monstrous and fearsome evil aura swept forth like a storm. Fire Crystal Ape King? Ying Huan's expression changed slightly when she saw this huge fellow, whose color and luster was completely different from those from before. This video will end here.